Story. Single long narrative paragraph. The sun sat high over a quiet gated neighborhood in suburban America, the kind of place where lawns were trimmed with military precision and silence itself felt enforced, as a black woman named Maya Reynolds floated calmly in her backyard pool, sunglasses resting on her face, hair tied up, phone placed carefully on the stone edge beside a folded towel, the water rippling gently around her shoulders as she took a rare afternoon off from a life built on secrets, because Maya Reynolds was not just another homeowner enjoying her pool. She was a federal agent with the FBI, trained in counterintelligence, psychological profiling, and crisis de-escalation. But none of that training prepared her for the sound of sirens slicing through the calm or the sudden shout of a man's voice barking commands from beyond her fence. A neighbor had called the police, claiming a suspicious person was trespassing in a property that, ironically, Maya owned outright, and within minutes 2 patrol cars screeched to a halt, officers spilling out with hands already hovering near their weapons, eyes locked on her skin before they ever processed her surroundings. "Ma'am, get out of the pool now!" one officer yelled, his tone sharp and rehearsed. Maya slowly removed her sunglasses, her heartbeat steady, but her mind racing through protocols she'd only ever studied in theory. She calmly responded that she lived there, that she was unarmed, that she would comply, but her voice barely registered as. The situation escalated unnaturally fast. Another officer muttered something into his radio, describing her not by her name or actions but by her race and location. And when Maya said, carefully, evenly, "I am a federal agent. My credentials are inside," the officers exchanged glances and smirked, one of them laughing openly as if she'd told a joke, the word, "sure," dripping with disbelief. They ordered her to step out of the pool with her hands up, soaking wet, vulnerable neighbors now peeking. From behind curtains and hedges, phones recording, the humiliation sharp but controlled, as Maya followed commands because she understood something dangerous was unfolding. She recognized the signs of a power imbalance slipping into something worse. And then one officer drew his weapon fully, finger close enough to the trigger to make a mistake permanent. Time slowed. Maya's training screamed at her to stay calm, to survive first and explain later, but inside her mind gears were turning. Finally, her FBI credentials locked in a bedside safe. The moment the lead officer opened it, his face drained of color. The room went silent. Radios stopped crackling, and a tension thicker than fear filled the air as reality slammed into them all at once. Maya Reynolds wasn't lying. She wasn't bluffing, and she wasn't powerless, but she said nothing. She watched. Because the most dangerous thing in the room now wasn't a gun. It was the truth. Supervisors arrived, then internal affairs, then cataloging badge numbers, tone shifts, procedural violations, the way no one asked her name or checked property records. And when she was handcuffed on her own pool deck, water dripping onto hot concrete, she realized this wasn't just about her. It was evidence, raw and undeniable, of something she'd been investigating for years from the shadows. The officers searched her house without a warrant under the excuse of officer safety, finding nothing illegal, just a neatly organized home and black SUV with tinted windows that didn't belong to the local department. And suddenly the officers who had barked orders couldn't meet her eyes. Hands that had been aggressive now trembled as cuffs were removed. Apologies stumbled out half-formed and too late. But the real twist came when Maya finally spoke, calmly informing them that this entire encounter had been live-logged through a secure FBI system on her phone the moment she sensed escalation, audio, timestamps, biometric stress data, GPS confirmation of her property ownership, all automatically uploaded to a federal server because she'd been part of a classified task force investigating patterns of racially biased policing triggered by civilian calls. And this incident, unscripted and raw, was now the centerpiece. The case didn't end with apologies. It detonated across the city weeks later. Body cam footage contradicted. Body cam footage contradicted police reports. Dispatch logs revealed coded language. The neighbor's call was exposed as racially motivated, and multiple officers were suspended pending federal charges. But Maya didn't celebrate, because the cost was personal, her privacy shattered, her safety compromised. Yet she chose to go public. Testifying before a closed congressional panel, her wet poolside arrest image projected on a screen as lawmakers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. She spoke not with anger, but with precision, explaining how quickly authority becomes threat when bias goes unchecked, how easily a routine call can turn fatal, and how close America came to adding another name to a list that never should have existed. The final twist came quietly months later when the neighbor who made the call received a letter, not of arrest, but of civil liability. Because Maya insisted the system be confronted at every level, not just the uniformed one. And on a warm afternoon, almost identical to the day it all began, Maya returned to her pool, the neighborhood quieter now, the cameras gone, the water calm again. But nothing was the same, because a single afternoon of survival had exposed a truth too big to ignore. And somewhere across the country, another woman watching this story would hesitate before assuming her voice didn't matter. And that, more than any badge or title, was the real power Maya Reynolds had been fighting for all along.